hopefully many of you do know me or chatted to me along the way. I was in the workshops yesterday. So my sort of background is more recently in primary care, and set up a leg club 9 years ago, which is still winning awards. So we have a fabulous team. So what I want to try, my title was, It's Time to Excel at Problem Solving. Now, I'm sure within this room, and having spoken to many of you and listened to some of the other presentations and our after dinner speakers last night, many of you are experienced at maybe making change and quality improvement. But potentially there are some of you out there that recognise that there is a problem, but don't really know how to take that forward and how to articulate that. So I'm hoping to go through this and just hopefully give some of you that inspiration that you can make a change. And if you see a problem, don't sit and go, oh, can't do anything about it. That's the system. That's them. That's the managers. Actual fact, you can all make a difference. So hopefully just going to, for those that maybe are not so experienced at, say, that change management, that quality improvement, just give you a bit of an insight of maybe how you can do that. So I think as we talked about yesterday, and particularly in our workshop, and I know the other workshops are on the similar line, that your time is so precious in whatever role you do, that there is so many different demands on your time. That might be from your direct line manager, that might be from your your trust, your practice, whoever you work for. It might be your colleagues asking you for advice or asking you to have a look at this, etc., etc. You might be really engaging in having students. So, again, it's great to have students and support the next generation, but they actually impact on your time as well. Obviously, the actual individual that you're caring for really wants your time and needs your time. And, we've obviously got, the overarching NHS. So it might be about them saying, actual fact, there's only so much time to do this. You can't have more time. So basically, we have so much demand on our time. But it's really important that we do recognise that if there's a problem, that it needs to be highlighted and you need to take that forward. However, good old Einstein, you can't solve the problem by the same kind of thinking that you used to create it. Ultimately, if we keep doing the same thing, we'll get the same results. As I think Gary alluded to, is your message getting across? Have a fresh pair of eyes. So take a step back and think outside the box. Just because you've always done something in a certain way doesn't mean to say that you need to continue to do it. And I love thinking outside the box. I love innovation. We've had so much talk about that this morning. And, that inspires us and promotes us, hopefully, to make that change. And for me, I've had quite a few light bulb moments, and that certainly led me down the line of the Leg Club and the Leg Club Foundation. And remember that change is positive. Even if sometimes it is imposed on you, it can be positive. So it's just how it's done makes a difference on its success. So when you're thinking about a problem, you've got this problem, or you want to think about how am I going to improve this, one of the very, very simple ones, and I'm sure a lot of you are very experienced at probably PDSA cycles, is you, before you're going to go down and have a trial something with making a change, you need to have an aim. We all need an aim. What is the ultimate aim? What are we trying to accomplish here? How will we know that change is an improvement? And what changes can we make that result in improvement? So this is absolutely paramount to any change proposal. And you need to really consider this before you go down the route of making that change. The common mistake in a change process that doesn't work is that you spend too little time thinking about these 3 questions. So it is really important that you really think about these questions and agree that within your team. What is your aim? So I mentioned there about the PDSA cycle. I say some of you are probably very familiar with the PDSA cycle, but for those that maybe aren't so familiar or have heard about it, not really sure what it means, it's basically a quality improvement model, and it's basically a very simple 4-step process. It's the core of any improvement, and it's based on a scientific method and stops that impulse to take immediate action so that you actually study what you're doing. So it's that plan, do, study, act. It also enables you to make small changes. So I'm not standing here saying you're going to make massive changes. It's thinking about, your aim, what it is that you're trying to do, and how can we make a small scale change, which then might be able to build into, learning from that change and building on it as you go. So it's that opportunity to see if the proposed change will succeed, and it's a really powerful tool for learning. And it also learning what works, but also what doesn't work. Because you might think, this is a really good idea, but in actual fact, it might not work, or it might have the unintended consequences. So it might actually lead to other problems. So as I said, plan what you're going to do. D is do it. Let's actually, I think in the NHS we spend so long talking. How many reviews do we need about the NHS? In actual fact, let's just get on and make some changes and see if they work. So when we do it, we're going to study it, and we'll come back to data. And I think we've met all the way through. Everyone's talked about that data and how important it is. So remember that you need to decide what you're going to measure. You're going to measure it before, so that you've got something to compare, and you're going to measure it afterwards. And you may well measure it during the actual study. And then you're going to basically review that data, and you're going to act on it. What did you learn? What are you going to do next? Is it going to lead to another PDSA cycle? Or do you need to continue doing what you're doing? Or do you need to stop it? Because actual fact, it's actually caused more problems. So basically, it's just remembering that you can make small scale changes which continue to build on your learning, which hopefully then will lead to some significant implementation, but it will give you a structured way of doing it. So as I said, as I've alluded to, basic PDSA cycles aren't singular. They are a continuous cycle. So you're going to maybe repeat it, maybe tweaking what your change is, and maybe doing something slightly different, because it's always about, the what. What did we learn? The so what does that mean? And how we're doing things. And the now what are we going to do about it? We've maybe given something a go, we've reviewed it, we've reflected on it, and we're now going to maybe define it and give it another go. Remember the light bulb? How many attempts did it take to get that right? 10,000 attempts it took to get the light bulb right. So it was constant review, and as practitioners, we're all taught to reflect, review, and that's what you're going to do when you're trying to solve a problem and make a change. But obviously, around that sort of PDSA cycle and that sort of formalised process, it's really important that you have other things in place, because no one can solve a problem alone. I go back to when I just set my leg club up. It wasn't me, it was a team. That included our volunteers, that included my other staff colleagues, that included my managers and getting their support. And you can't solve things alone. So it's really important that you involve the people that are involved in that service. So your members, your patients, their carers, asking them for ideas. Do they think this is going to work? Or do they have a different idea that maybe you can look at? Ask them to, how are we going to do this? How can we design it? and also get them involved in reviewing the change. So, as I think we're excellent in the leg clubs, getting that member survey, getting their ideas, and help that to support your success, really. But outside of your sort of your members and your patients, you need to involve all stakeholders. So who else does it involve? Does it involve another? Is it going to impact on another healthcare profession? Who's it going to impact on within your work environment? So engage them, listen to their ideas, let them try to help you identify the risks or the challenges that it might be. And remember that, when you're doing a change, it needs to be that sort of scientific based. So you've got to have a rigorous and systematic approach, and that's where using a model like the PDSA cycle, like that quality improvement model, can help, because you will be challenged. You will be asked, how did you get that result? Why? How did you manage to do that? People will challenge you, particularly if you're after money. Provide the evidence. So when they challenge you, you can say, this is how we did it. And remember that everything that you're doing forms the basis of your evidence-based practice. And that's what we all work to. So data, or data, however you want to say it. Why is it important? We all talk about data and evidence. But so, I think W. Edwards here, he said that without data, you're just a person with an opinion. You just think this works. I think leg clubs works. Actual fact, I've got all the data behind it. Okay, so really, really is important to demonstrate how effective your service is or your change that you're going to make is. So what is data? So data is information. It's that evidence. And obviously you've got quantitative and qualitative data. And, again, it was alluded to in the after dinner speakers, about the importance of gathering that data. And you might not like it, but it's really, really important. Data is information, it's knowledge, it's wisdom. And basically, they all work together to give you your evidence. So obviously, the qualitative data is about numbers. It's that numerical information. So it might be about, data about how many people are attending the conference. What's all your shoe size? What's the average shoe size in the room? Something as simple as that. And then obviously your qualitative data is that non-numerical information. So that sort of feedback, that text, the images, and sort of more describing of the qualities. So value of qualitative data. I'm going to go on about my leg club. It won awards last night. I won't say our leg club. This is a recent survey, and these are actual quotes from some of our members. And how does that make us feel? That makes us feel great, isn't it? This is lovely data to capture because we're getting really great feedback. There is strength in the human voice. This is really powerful, but not on its own. Okay, this can really be, demonstrating the quality of your service. And again, it makes us feel good as well, doesn't it? But we need the quantitative data as well to back us up. And particularly, we heard last night about how the Welsh ladies, those that were here, how they, went to the finance and, almost she had to go down to a bikini to get what she wanted. But actual fact, you've got to remember that, probably the people holding the purse strings, they might say, oh, that's lovely, you've got all that nice feedback. But they want it in a different way. They want to see that evidence produced in some sort of numerical costing type of way. And that's what backs up what the other people are, what the quality of data really. So, one of the great examples that we have with the Leg Club Foundation is the reports. It just is really powerful because it can give us our, how many people attend by age, gender, but most importantly, our outcomes. What are our outcomes from what we do at the Leg Club? And it's really powerful data. You might think about doing a time and motion. So it might be that, more recently I was asked about a Leg Club being asked to do more things there, not just not just the fantastic their work to look after people with lower leg wounds, but they were asked to do more and more things. And so you might actually be using data to prove how busy you are. So thinking about, and how productive you are. So that may certainly help. And that just evaluates the roles and the tasks that you undertake and the time it takes. That can be really powerful data as well. Or it might be about comparing how, the time it takes to do the similar role but in a different environment. And the resources that are needed. So as much as we might not enjoy, some of you probably love numbers and love collecting quantitative data, but others of you will just love the qualitative side. But we need both. To make a powerful argument, we need both, and we need that evidence. So for those that maybe have not done it, you need to then pull that together into a business proposal. Those that are in business and, maybe a more strategic level will be used to business proposals, and you may well do it on a very regular basis. But for some of you, it will be a, completely alien topic and they won't know how to do that. But you need to remember that you are taking your business plan to people who are business minded. So you need to think in the same way. You need to have a business mind if you're going to go and try and get some funding or resources to do your change cycle, your quality improvement. So you need to dedicate time to getting background information and research before you even start your business plan. So what is your case? You need to know the stakeholders that you're going to be taking that to, because they are going to be looking at your business plan. So you need to know, how they work, really. So are they very much the finance people? Is their role completely different? Remember that value is crucial. We've all got to save money. We know that there isn't enough money in the NHS. So, demonstrating with your evidence that you actually can work more effectively and potentially save money, even if that's further down the line, that you're going to save money. And also linking to your organisation's priorities. So understanding what their key priorities are and really try and target your business proposal to those, because that's what they're interested in. They've already put it out there. What are their priorities? Make sure that any calculations around cost savings or research or resources and your data does stand up to that scrutiny, because they're not going to sign it off unless everything tallies up. And remember, they will also ask, what if we don't do this change? What then? What are the consequences? So give them that information. Say, if we don't do this, this is potentially going to happen. So really think, you do need to articulate it. You've got to have a bit more of a business mind. I know most of us in the room are healthcare professionals, but we do need to think as a business. So just while I summarise, really, I do this quote, and I worked for quality improvement in the NHS for a while, and I think this is really important for all of us, that we don't have the time and the resources to spend on things that don't work, that don't serve our patients, and that could be done more efficiently and effectively. As we said, as we know, we heard NHS is broken. There isn't any more money. How can we but there is money, but how can we use it more effectively? And I think that's really important. And every one of us that works in healthcare, we need to abide by that. So if you know something, a way that can save money or can be more effective in the treatment, you need to come forward, okay? So we all need to have a commitment to improving our service and our care. That is, and we also need to constantly be questioning, thinking differently. Remember, keep doing the same thing. You're only ever going to get the same results. Need to think differently, think outside the box. Always spend time to consider your key questions on your aim. What is it that you're trying to achieve? Have a very much a systematic approach to test and train. So use a model that is established and has that scientific background so that when you are challenged, you have everything ready for that challenge. Make sure you listen and engage. None of us like change imposed. Sometimes that happens, but actual fact, involve everybody. Involve your stakeholders, your members, your patients, your carers, etc. Listen and engage. And as I said, be prepared to be challenged, all right? Make sure you've got that data to back it up. And lastly, I'd say, if you think this is not for me, that's what the managers, that's what they do over here. You're not. You're all leaders. And you can all facilitate change. So just before I finish, I'm just going to leave you hopefully with this little bit of motivational quote, which probably we're all feeling a bit like that this morning. How'd you do it, said Night. How'd you wake up and shine? I keep it simple, said Light, one day at a time. Thank you.